Welcome back, Outlaws. On today's adventure, we pay a visit to the Imperial Valley Desert Museum, so stay tuned. Located about 85 miles east of San Diego on the Highway 8 and about a quarter of a mile south of the town of Ocotillo, the museum sits perched on a small hill that can be easily seen from the highway. This is a great day trip to check out our town of Ocotillo and take a couple of hours and spend the day at the museum. Originally part of the Imperial Valley College, the original museum location was on Main Street in downtown El Centro. An earthquake in 1979 destroyed the building, but the collections were moved to a temporary storage while a new building was built in Ocotillo. The original Imperial Valley College Desert Museum owes its beginnings to the hard work of archaeologists like Michael Barker, Moreland Childers, and J. von Werloff. A prolific author, von Werloff wrote many scholarly books and articles on the archaeology and the history of indigenous peoples of the Southern California desert regions. Throughout his 55-year career, he conducted archaeological research in each of California's 58 counties, and after relocating to the Imperial Valley in 1973, von Werloff documented more than 10,000 archaeological sites within the Imperial County. After a series of fundraising events, the museum was finally opened in January 2012. Upon entering the museum, just to the left, they have a gift shop with a lot of interesting stuff and a little of something for everyone. The museum is air-conditioned, and on a hot day in the desert, this is a great place to visit. As you walk through the museum, there's several information boards that contain a lot of interesting information and history about the area. There's also a few interactive displays that you can check out also. The staff is very knowledgeable and helpful, and there was a gentleman there that was gracious enough to answer all of our questions. Along with all the artifacts, there's also a great collection of rocks and minerals on display. The museum doesn't just focus on the past, it also shares how the Imperial Valley has changed and is being used to present day. There's lots of animals in the area, past and present, and this depicts how they've been able to adapt and change through time. This is another interactive map that shows how the landscape has changed through the forces of nature over the years. Taking a look at this case, it holds several specimens of rocks, minerals, and crystals. The indigenous peoples of the area used the agave plant as one of their resources. They used it to make twine. This reproduction sandal is an example of that. I found this display particularly interesting because it shows the different depths that artifacts were found at, and that some of them dated back to 9,000 years ago. This shows that the ancient people that lived here not only were hunter gatherers, but they were also farmers. This interactive map is really cool because it shows the ancient lake of the area, how it receded and filled over the years. There's so many interesting displays in this museum, you really get an idea how the people of the area lived and survived. This display shows a collection of arrow straighteners. The stone was placed in the fire, and the wet arrow shaft was drawn through the groove to straighten it. They also have a really awesome collection of oyas, or pots and vessels. What I like about this display is it shows the different vessels, some that have been repaired, some that have been broken, and some that have been reused. The vessels with the narrow openings were used for water. The vessels with the wider openings were used for cooking. These pots that you see here with several necks on them may have been used for ceremonial purposes. They also have an exhibit hall here that they change periodically. Today's display is showcasing some of the work of local artists. Back here is where all the behind the scenes work happens. This vessel has several holes that have been drilled purposely in it on either side of a crack. Once they have the holes drilled, they take some twine or sinew and they stitch up the crack through those holes so that they can reuse that vessel. This display is interesting as it allows you to pull open the drawer and check out and see what's inside. All the items are neatly labeled, and there's even one drawer that you could pull open and actually pick the things up and feel them.
It's a very, very common material for monos, groundstone, to actually make mortars inside of. It's pretty common in San Diego.
So it's very important when we're grinding the acorn, they have to be very dry, otherwise because the acorn have a lot of oil on it, so it will be very hard to work when it's wet.
Now that we've seen pretty much everything there is to see inside the museum, outside the museum, there's this really neat interactive path that has plaques and displays along the way. During the hotter months, you're going to want to bring some water with you so that you could take your time and walk down the path. There's a few benches along the way that you could sit at and take a break. There's also a small picnic table with a little bit of shade so you can stop and have lunch. This is the Ocotillo plant, the plant that our town was named after. Down below this area in the wash, there's a geoglyph of a snake. You can't very easily see it from this vantage point. It runs from the wash and it goes clear on the other side of the highway. Displayed throughout the property, there's also other pieces of artwork like this one. When you first drive up the driveway to the museum, you see this observatory that they have built that sits up on the hill. It's aligned so that you can view the solstices. We hope you enjoyed coming along on this little adventure with us to the Imperial Valley Desert Museum. And as always, thanks for watching.